What's up, guys, and welcome back to Prime Collectibles. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to go through something that a lot of you guys have been asking for, which is where do I order and pre-order my collectibles on a weekly basis? So what I'll do is I'm going to list my top 7 and then go through some of the pros and cons of each of these websites to give you guys a better idea of where to order from. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go through these in no specific order. I don't have any hierarchy of favorites in these websites. Really, it's kind of each one serves a purpose, and I'll kind of try and go through that as I discuss them. So to kick things off, the first website I go to every morning is BigBadToyStore here. And really there's a reason for that. They have a very wide variety of statues and collectibles available here. So if I want to see what's new for my, Masters of the Universe Origins line, I can check. If I want to look at what's new in the world of anime statues, there's usually a direct link. Those types of things they're really good for. Now, I should mention that BigBadToyStore is quite a bit more expensive, sometimes 25% more expensive than most other sites that carry the same things. That doesn't always apply. Things like Masters of the Universe, maybe it's fairly comparable, but the more expensive the figure or collectible gets, it tends to scale up in price. Now, why would I shop here if that's the case? It's very simple. One thing that they have that I love is the ability to pre-order something without putting money down. Now, this is almost unheard of in this space, and I think this is why these guys stand out, and it's also why they probably can afford to charge a little more. I can basically go through, and if I like something, I can just pre-order. And if I decide in a month, a week before it comes, it's available, that I don't want it anymore, I can cancel it with no penalty. That is huge. That is so huge. Now, that's not always the case. There are things as they get more expensive that you need to put a non-refundable deposit down, but even the non-refundable deposits tend to be a little bit lower here than anywhere else. Didn't mention before is they allow you to add things that you've bought or pre-ordered to a pile of loot, they call it. And essentially you can package as much as you want into a pile of loot and it'll just sit there until you want to ship it, and you can save on shipping that way, which is also pretty nice. Especially when you're ordering a bunch of these smaller things, it's just so much easier to wait, let them stack up in your pile of loot, and then ship them all together to save on shipping. So for that reason, BigBadToyStore, I always go here to at least see what they have. Now for smaller things, Masters of the Universe, any of the kind of smaller collectibles that I collect, I will tend to pre-order them from here because I can cancel them easy. Bigger things like statues, even some of the scale figures, I will tend to see if it's here because they're really quick on getting things up on this website. But then if I find it and I can order it here, I will tend to check out other websites to see if it's there for a better price. So that is a really good segue into my next website that I always check, which is AmiAmi. AmiAmi is a Japanese store, and it's massive. It's kind of like the BigBadToyStore of Japan, but it really focuses on anime figures and that sort of thing, anime goods. I love AmiAmi for a few different reasons. One, like BigBadToyStore, you can pre-order without putting any money down. Now, for AmiAmi, that does come with a bit of a caveat, which is if you cancel more than a few statues or a few things that you've ordered, if the ratio of things that you've pre-ordered to the things that you've canceled breaches a certain threshold, they will suspend your account. And I don't like that so much about this. BigBadToyStore, pre-order, cancel all day long if there's no non-refundable deposit. So it's something to keep in mind here. Another con is the way they handle payments once something does come in is very confusing. I've lost out on statues that I pre-ordered a year before and I was really excited to getting because they're, hey, this is now in, you better pay within 7 days, went into my junk mail. So I realized, hey, where is the statue? It's out in the wild now. Contacted them. Oh, we told you had 7 days to pay for it and you didn't. Well, I'm like, well, it went into my junk mail. Well, that's not our problem. So be mindful of that. That's something to really consider about this website. The thing that's really good about AmiAmi is they have this pre-owned items page. There are a lot of pre-owned items here. These scale statues, if you miss the sort of window to pick some of these up, it's really hard to find them unless you want to pay a lot of money on the aftermarket, eBay and that sort of thing. This pre-owned section of AmiAmi is a really great place to find some pre-owned older statues, especially the smaller scaled statues that are tough to find anywhere else without having to just, double, triple the price. So this is why I like AmiAmi. This tends to be sort of the second spot I go to. They also get, specifically when it comes to these scaled statues, they get them pretty much up on their site before anywhere else, and they have a wide variety. If you can't find it on AmiAmi, it probably doesn't exist in the anime statue realm. So next would be Mirai Collectibles. Now there are a ton of these, Asia-based websites where you can pick up resin statues, be they licensed or unlicensed. I like Mirai Collectibles for one specific reason. They allow you to choose how you want to purchase. So let's go here, for example. So here we go. Jomoto Studio, blah, 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 whatever it is. Payment method, 10-month payment plan, deposit, full payment. Even the ability to just put a deposit down is pretty incredible when it comes to resin statues. Generally speaking, you need to pay for it or you need to put a very big deposit down. The ability to put a small deposit down or even just do a 10-month payment plan is relatively unique to this website. They also have pretty good support as well. Like if you chat with them, they'll be responsive. I've talked to them through Facebook, they're responsive. The after purchase support is not fantastic. Now, like I mentioned, they are quick to respond and they will try to help you, but I think their hands are kind of tied. I had a statue show up, I did a video on it, the Tifa statue, and I got it from these guys and it was just a nightmare. And I think they ended up giving me $50 back because the group that originally created it didn't have any spare parts for it, and it was like, that sucks. I paid over $600 for that statue and I get $50 back, and now I can never resell it, and it's basically barely salvageable. Keep that in mind. Again, not just Mirai. Really, if you're going to be collecting resin statues, this is kind of just the way it is. But worth mentioning that this is where I order from, and I've had this specifically with these guys. So next site I want to talk about is an Australian site, and that is SuGo. Now, SuGo, one thing specifically that I really like. Now, I should mention they do kind of like a BigBadToyStore. They do have the smaller scale statues, but then they also have some of the bigger stuff. They have 6 scale. They have some of the bigger 1/4 scale or 1/3 scale statue. They have a lot of that stuff. But what I really like about these guys is, A, you're ordering from Australia, not out of Asia. So they tend to be a little bit more reliable when it comes to shipping to the United States or to Canada. And the other thing I really like is, let's just click on one of these, a price match guarantee. Now that is pretty cool. So if you find a comparable price on a comparable website, if you find a better price, you do this price match, you send it to them, and I've done it numerous times, and they'll offer you that price. So that's pretty nice. I like that a lot about SuGo. Comparing them to some of the other Australian websites though, they do tend to be just a little bit more expensive, which is something to keep in mind. If you see something you like on here, take the time to do a price match, because they are very reliable. But like I said, if you don't price match, you might be paying a little bit more here. Another thing that you just have to keep in mind when you're doing the checkout process, put this in cart, pay deposit. These guys allow you to do a deposit as well, which is nice. So when you are checking out, just be mindful of the fact that they are going to try and charge you somewhere along the line. They do try and charge you insurance. Okay, here. Oh, because it's so small, I guess shipping is free. Okay, so here, when you go here for the first time, unless you change shipping method to pay shipping later, it will automatically charge you for shipping right up front, and it will automatically charge you for a lost cover. Basically, it's an insurance. It's something to keep in mind. I mean, you can pay this stuff up front if you know that that's what you're going to want. But for me, I like putting as little down as possible up front so that I have a long time to decide that if I don't want it later, I can eat the non-refundable deposit, and it is what it is. Another great Australian website, I believe these guys are out of Australia because their base price is always in Australian, is Aki Momo. And I like these guys a lot because, like SuGo, they have a wide range of statues. The only knock that I have on these guys, or the main knock, is that I don't think they get as much variety as SuGo, and certainly not as someone like AmiAmi when it comes to the anime figures specifically. Aki Momo would probably be my go-to place because their prices are generally like some of the cheapest that I find, unless you're buying right out of Japan. And they also have this sort of smaller deposit requirement, but that, like I said, they just don't often have some of the ones that I'm specifically looking for. So that's kind of a bummer for these guys. But generally speaking, I really like them. I have pre-ordered a lot from them, I've got a lot from them, and I've canceled a lot. They often will take my pre-order amount and put it towards something else that I have ordered, which most of these guys don't do. So that's a big thumbs up for these guys as well. Like I said, these two, AmiAmi, and then sometimes BigBadToyStore, are where I get my 1/7, 1/6 scale anime figures from. Mirai is where I go for anything resin statues out of China, licensed or unlicensed. And if I'm talking specifically statues, I will either go to Sideshow, and you guys probably all know Sideshow, but if you don't, Sideshow is basically like the biggest online retailer of collectibles and statues in North America. You could argue that maybe BigBadToyStore is the same size. When I think of BigBadToyStore, I think about smaller types of collectibles usually, and Sideshow, I think more of statues. Sideshow has a lot of really good things going for it. A, they have a really great rewards program, which is something that BigBadToyStore doesn't have. B, they tend to have really competitive, if not the best rates on some of these statues. They also have some exclusive rights to sell statues. I know that PCS Collectibles don't even sell themselves. They only sell through Sideshow. Sideshow also has some pretty cool fine art prints that they get up, although I should mention that those are quite overpriced in my opinion, generally speaking. But they're good. The reason I don't default go to Sideshow is because I don't like the way their website's laid out. It's not intuitive for me to find exactly what I'm looking for on a daily basis. Typically speaking, if I'm gonna buy statues, like a quarter scale polystone statue, I already know that it's going to be available because I've been on the forums and I've been on Facebook or on social media, and so I'm looking for it. And then I'll come here and I'll look for it. But it's not easy to just find things that I'm interested in here, like it would be on BigBadToyStore or even AmiAmi. You know, for example, what do I see here? Recommended for you. No, this is not for me. None of this stuff. I'm not going to buy an It statue. You know, I like Star Wars, you know, Marvel, whatever, but none of this stuff is stuff that I'd be interested in at all. So like, if they're going to have a recommended for you, they should have some sort of an algorithm that feeds me things that they know I'm interested in. This is not the case. So I don't love their website, but they will be my go-to. If I can find what I'm looking for on this website, I'm probably going to order it, whether it's a statue or a smaller figure and that sort of thing. They just don't have a lot of the anime statues that I collect, and the figures almost never. But statue-wise, polystone statue, I'll find it somewhere else, generally speaking, and then I'll come here to see if they have it. Because of the rewards program, I mean, I've got full statues before based on the rewards that I've accumulated with these guys. So last but not least, I gotta give a shout out to SpecFiction. So in the subject of statues, bigger statues, quarter scale, 1/3, what have you, SpecFiction is probably next best place after Sideshow to buy. Now, there are some cons to buying from SpecFiction that I will mention. Now, the nice thing about SpecFiction is they do carry a lot of different lines. They carry a lot of the North American stuff, the superheroes and what have you, but you can also find a lot of the resin statues, the Chinese lines. Now, the caveat to that is I don't think that they carry unlicensed anymore. I know at one point they did, but probably they got some pressure from some of the licensed groups to not sell those anymore. So you can find things like Tri-Eagle Studio that get the licenses, even though they're out of China. And then you can find things like Prime One, but you can generally get, you know, Iron Studios. You can get a lot of what you're looking for here. If you have missed a statue and you can't find it anywhere else, it's worth checking SpecFiction to see if they have it, because they often do get statues that everybody else is sold out of, and you can get them here. They might be a little bit marked up, but they won't be as marked up as if you went to, you know, eBay or something like that. So worth checking. And if you're looking for something specific, reach out to these guys. You know, it's run by a good dude, Todd. He's pretty, I mean, I can tell that they're quite busy lately because he used to be more reachable than he is now. But reach out to Todd, tell him what you're looking for, and he might be able to find it for you. They do require pretty hefty non-refundable deposit if you order statues from them. It's not like Sideshow. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Sideshow also does allow you to put, you know, I don't know if it's 5 or 10% down maximum to get statues, and that's something I really like. You're probably seeing a theme here. I like putting as little money down as possible to pre-order my stuff because I do change my mind from time to time, and I'm okay eating a little bit of non-refundable deposits that the company is not out of money for me changing my mind. I don't like putting a ton down because yeah, it hurts if I decide to cancel things. So keep that in mind. Nice thing about them though is that often in their prices, they do package in shipping, especially within the States. I think that it's like what you see is what you get in terms of price. Talk to them just to clarify that and make sure that I'm not talking out of my ass here, but I think that's the case. That is the 7 sites that I generally buy from, all reputable. I've bought from all these numerous times before and I've always got my statues. After sale support has been generally good in all of them. So I can recommend all 7 of these. Okay, so that was my top 7 websites that I pre-order from, order statues, check out on a daily basis to see what's out there. I hope that you got some value from this, that it'll help you as you're you know, on your collecting journey. If I missed a website that you guys think I should have mentioned there, or if I missed a pro or a con of one of these websites that you guys have in mind, let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys watching today. If you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe. And until next time, later.